I check no one's coming because I get all embarrassed to do this on the footpath if someone catches me doing it. I feel like a fool. Right, let's go for a wander. So, been using outside space lots. We've had some new patio furniture actually, well, second hand. Eating outside lots in the summer. This has been great for summer eating and autumn eating. Cooking on the pizza oven. Great way to cook outside, and then when it was really hot and those heat waves, nice to keep the heat out the kitchen as well. And this little shelter I chucked up, little bow there, let the smoke out, has been great. I've got some of my black cocoa beans drying there at the moment, either side. So they'll do for seed for next year, plenty of seed, hopefully some for swapping as well. And then in the garden, one thing I've really liked, but I've actually managed to get around to doing this year, is to put up this rose arch. And I planted the rose. They always come tiny, don't they? Look now, it is up to the top. So I don't know how well that's going to do next year, whether it's going to go mental again. I'm not sure. I put in this little border down there, just some pear branches I split down using some axe and wedges, and that's come out quite nicely as well. I've got an apple tree on this side that I've been training up. I've had some successes and failures as usual. The greenhouse, oh, there's a cobweb. Sorry. The greenhouse has been great, although it must be said that I did mess up. I put in this no-dig bed. If anyone follows my blog, they'll probably see when I did it. Cleared out all the greenhouse, put in this big no-dig bed, put loads of muck down, bought a load of compost. Compost turned out to be absolute rubbish, and nothing really grew in it very well. And it's just, everything's just been trying to catch up. It's been just a bit rubbish, really. In here, though, you can see I've got some starts. So that's some turnip greens to go in the polytunnel. I've got some beans there, some broad beans. And I've got some lamb's lettuce and some chard, all ready to go out. We're a bit late, really. Also got some bok choy that I put in a bed over there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pause this a second. That's better. The other greenhouse I kind of left because the idea was that the base is completely rotted out on it now. And so I'm going to move it over, and I've got another greenhouse coming. Of course, didn't get around that far, did I? So it's not really happened. The other thing was as well so not doing that meant that I kind of wrecked my compost area. You can see I've got the digger here at the moment, so I need to get my compost bins back in, make some new ones. I got a few compost humps over there though, so it's not like I'm without. The soft fruit area here, so there's 10 blackcurrants, 10 gooseberries, produced a lot this year. Probably produced about 12 kilos each. It's only their second year of being in. And you can see the comfrey as well, line of comfrey down the side, and all the nasturtiums. So lots of stuff for compost in there. You can see as well, my cordon apples, still got loads on, need to harvest those. One of my great successes the last couple of years has been this perennial kale. Really, really good. Just kind of there when you need it. Really, really been a good crop. You can see as well, some horseradish growing up there. That I dug out. I dug a huge area out last year, thought I got every bit of root. That stuff's just not going away. Got some New Zealand yams to harvest as soon as the frost comes. Got some French beans up there, which we're going to dry now for seed beans. Got some red cabbage we've been harvesting. Got some purple sprouting, which has started to sprout. Now I think, part of me wants to blame the season and stuff. I think I just put it in too early some years. And I think that's what I've done there. Get a bit too keen in the spring. I need to wait a bit longer, maybe kind of May time rather than April. Got a bit of kale, normal kale. That's Black Russian, I think. Lots of whitefly on it, actually. I sowed some other kales as well at the same time, and I think the one was garlic kale. And unfortunately, I think that one just bolted. My leeks are looking really good. There's one that's bolted there, but the rest are fine. We had some yesterday for tea, really tasty. In here, I've got my garlic that I've planted. Keep putting it back in because birds keep pulling it out. So I've got 2 beds of garlic, 1 bed of shallots, 1 bed of elephant garlic. And then with these other ones, I've put in some field beans as a green manure and some clover. And actually, I was a bit worried. Well, still might not establish. I don't know if you can see the little seedlings there of the clover. I made a silly mistake earlier in the year. I put in some globe artichokes and I thought I'll move them later on down to the bottom of the garden. Didn't quite get around to it. As you can see, although they look beautiful, and I've not bothered to harvest them really. So I'll dig these up in the winter, chop them down, dig them up and move them, transplant them somewhere else. Got yacon yet to harvest, waiting for the frost to finish killing these. Started the job the other day, didn't quite get there. And then this is the bit of the garden that I'm going to need to concentrate on this winter. I'm going to do the same again as I did last year, half an hour every day in here, digging it up. Set my timer, listen to a book, put a pair of gloves on, just dig away, get these perennial weeds out, get it covered over, and then next year I'll be able to do what I did with this bit of garden down here. So that's the idea anyway. So we'll go across the polytunnel. The polytunnel is shame. If you've watched my other video about how I've really failed in the polytunnel this year, but what you can see is there is loads of food. You know, it's full of tomatoes. Tomatoes are everywhere. I need to come down here actually with a bucket, harvest the load. And then we've got loads of acachoas on this side. Didn't do very well on cucumbers and stuff, unfortunately. But if we carry on through the jungle, well, at least I can get through this year. Last year I couldn't even get through it. And then just move this out the way of the gate. We'll come down and have a look at the orchard. The orchard's been great. I've done a few videos on that this year. You can see I've got loads of windfall now, and just need to come down here and harvest the last of it. So the only thing I'm short on is time. Probably should be doing that instead of making a silly video. The chickens are obviously in lockdown, so I've got 3 chickens over there, which are kind of my retirees. Down here we've got the messiest ducks in the world. These 3 guys got their own little netted polytunnel, which has worked really well, but they do make a real mess. They need a bit of space on their own, really. They do bully the chickens, so it's best to keep them away when they're locked up. Under this netted kind of mess here, there is a pen of bantams. There's 4 bantams in there. Obviously with the avian lockdown, it means none of the chickens can get out. It's a bit rubbish, really, for them and for us. I like to have them out. Down here we've got some young chickens. These ones were hatched out in the summer. We had some new chickens the other day. I'll show you now, actually. This has been a fun area this year, just outside. So I've had my shave horse, my axe block, and my riving brake. And what it's meant is I've had a bit of a green woodworking area to do stuff outside. Because I write a bit for magazines and stuff, it's nice to have an area that's a bit better than the outside of my shed. In here we've got the Indian game hens, my breeding flock. In this one, some rescue hens that we got from a farm that we're going to cull theirs. So we've got 5 in there and the one down the bottom. Then up there we've got my hedge. Now I planted that hedge about 8 years ago. It's really established itself. And what I'm thinking is we're going to have to lay it this year. It's gone on long enough. Make it thicker at the bottom. It's nice to have privacy in the summer, so we'll probably lose a year's worth of privacy out of it. But it is quite nice to have that kind of thickness of a hedge. October's been a busy month. I've had about 3 different magazine articles published in Wood Carving magazine, Wood Turning magazine, and Woodworking Crafts magazine. I've not sold as much on Etsy as I would normally this time of year, so it's a bit of a shame that's not been selling as much. So I've taken on a bit more carpentry work. Me and a friend have been doing a bathroom. I don't know, some of you might have seen on Twitter the rotten floor, and it was super rotten. We were scooping it out with a shovel. It was like Weetabix. Been leaking for 20 years, I think. So we got that out and got it replaced, and put a new pine floor down, and it looks great. So we're really pleased with that. And here's my new hedge, all the way down there. So 2 years old, but you can see these damson trees. I bought them quite big, on quite a vigorous rootstock. There's 14 damson and plum trees down here, and bullaces, and it just makes a nice barrier from the footpath, really. People don't put their dogs on leads, and when you've got stock and stuff, it can be a bit annoying. So in my coppice area, everything's kind of got really established now. So you can see the willow trees. It's kind of cool to think I planted those, and when you're in there, it feels like a proper little woodland. And what I did this winter is I started to harvest. So I'm going to split this down into sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on a 5-year rotation, cut out a section. So this was the first year cut, the first cut, and you can see how strongly it's come back. And now, once the frost kills this off, I'll have a look, and I think you're meant to leave like 4 or 5 to grow on then. But these are going to make some good poles to the garden as long as I strip them off, so that they strip the willow so they don't grow back. And some of the sloes this year, I'll show you, have been like grapes. I've actually not done anything with them. Not a huge spirit drinker. You can see how many sloes we've got on there. Got some nice apples over there. I'll try and make it so there's always some food growing somewhere around here. It's a good apple. So down in my forest garden area, got these Japanese wineberries gone over now. They've grown really, really well. I just chucked them in here and they've kind of established. And then down here, a few years ago, I bought a couple of hedge-in barberry plants. And this year it's covered in little barberries. So we'll be able to harvest those and dry them and then use them in rice and things like that for cooking. So yeah, I've got lots to work on. It feels good. We've been here a decade now, over a decade, and that's kind of cool. I like the fact we've made our mark. You know, we're growing more food than ever, learning just as much as I ever have, you know, if not more. I'm still massively passionate about it. So hopefully, long may it continue.